Today I'm going to be walking you through integrating some magic.link into an application with Next.js. So if you don't know what magic.link is, it's kind of a new product to help you do kind of one-click authentication for an application. You can check out their website, it's really good. Their documentation is amazing for developers. They have tons of examples and that sort of thing, so you can get into how that works. Today though, I'm going to show you how to integrate it into a Next.js app. I've written an app called Boost. You can check it out at getboost.app and play around with it yourself. You can even one-click deploy it with Vercel, and the code is all open source. But today I'm going to show you just how to integrate Magic into a Next.js application. So I'm going to go ahead and just going to look at, here's all the code that I've written for this application. Tons of stuff. We're going to focus on a couple places. The login page, where you can see it's already just a bunch of JSX and a bit of logic at the top. We're going to focus on that. We're going to focus on this API route called login. And then one last component I'm going to call redirect, which is going to help us with smooth handling of front-end routes. So let's go ahead and jump into our login page. So login page, pretty straightforward. Let's take a look at it on the front-end UI. We click login. Here's our login page, straightforward. So it's just an email field because we don't require a password with Magic. And we'll go back over here. So you can see I'm using Formic. If you don't know, how to use Formic, that's okay. Don't worry about it. We're just going to focus on the function to submit. So yeah, we have this function on submit, which is our handle submit function. And look up here, here's handle submit. So when we call handle submit, we get these values. And we get some sort of context we can modify Formic state with. But for now, we're really just going to focus on those values. So what we need to do from here is once the user imports their email, we want to go ahead and validate it with Magic. So I've already gone ahead and imported it. No, I haven't. I fully lied to you. So let me import it. Import Magic from magic-sdk. So I've already installed it, but you know what? Let's just go again. Copy Magic in. Oh, it is up there. Oh, okay. No, I did import it. So you can just go ahead and yarn add magic-sdk, and it'll install. I've already gone ahead and done that, so it's going to leave that alone. So now we have Magic imported. We can go into this function here, the handle submit function. And what we need to do is pass in that email to Magic and let them sort of handle the authentication portion of it. So let's go, it's running decentralized, a bunch of decentralized technologies. So it's going to give us back a token, but they call it a decentralized identification token, or a DID. So we're going to store our token in that variable DID by calling await. We'll create a new Magic here. We have a environment variable we're going to use, next underscore public underscore magic underscore publishable key. There we go. Oh, and you can't just write like that. Process.env.that. There we go. So we got our public key from Magic, which if you want to know how to get that, inside of Magic, you go to login. You're going to enter your email. I'm already logged in. There we go. See, I have my Boost application. It's in test mode. And if you haven't had any application yet, you can see that it'll actually give you your keys just like this. So you can copy your publishable key and your seeker key as well and put them in your application. So let's go back over to the code. So I have already copied my public key. I'm not going to show you the environment file that this is in because it has my seeker key as well. But this is in my environment file, so I can use it here. Great. Okay, so we have Magic here. Now we're going to do this function call, which is amazing. Auth.login with Magic link. And all it's going to take is an object of email. And I'll get my email from values.email. There we go. So this function call here is all we really need to handle Magic authentication. It's going to go off, it's going to validate through email, which I'll show you that process in a minute. And then when we get this back, we have this lovely token. Now what we want to do here is, if we want to register this user, we want to send this token to our backend and get data about the user. So what we're going to do here is we're going to create an auth request, and it's going to be an await, and it's going to be a fetch call. The fetch call is going to be to our API/login route. Oops. There we go. And we're going to pass that decentralized ID token, the DID token, as an authorization header. So we're going to make this a post request because we are going to be quote unquote creating a user. Add that headers in. Oops. Authorization. And in here we'll have bearer and that token. There we go. And you can see here that once that request comes back, if it's okay, we're going to go ahead and push to the dashboard page. Otherwise, we're going to use that format context and set that error so that people can see if there's an error. Great, so one line here, validate with Magic. Second line here, we're going to post that Magic token to our backend, our API login route. And so we can create users in the database or utilize that token to get information on the user. Good, so let's pop into that route before we go any further. So here's this route here. I've already gone ahead and put a bit of logic in here. So we're going to end up putting some cookies in to handle login state on the browser. Just simple, like I don't want to allow post methods. So if there's a method that's not, we're going to turn to 405 or method not allowed. And in here, what we want to do is like get user info. At this point for the tutorial, I'm not going to actually write to the database, but you probably should like create a user. And if you wanted to check out here we go, HTTPS, I'm just going to write the URL. If you want to check out the Boost, I think it's flock-community. I had to use my professional account /get or boost-API. This, you can just take a look at how we use this token from the user and the user information to store something in the database. But at this point, we're just going to take that information from Magic on the user, specifically the email, create a token from it, and send that back as a cookie. So getting that user info, we'll go up the top, we have to import Magic's backend API or Node API, Node SDK if you want to call it. So let's do the same thing, Magic here, from @magic, magic-SDK /admin, their admin API. Good, we're going to do something very similar here. We're going to cache it though. This is a backend route in Next.js, so I'm going to cache this as Magic here. And when we come through, if we don't have Magic, we don't have the Magic. Then we're just going to create a new Magic. Oh, I should probably assign that. New Magic here, and then process.env.magic underscore, I think it's just secret underscore key. I'll have to actually check that out if we don't. And then we're going to do dot users dot get user metadata. Let me just make sure that's the right method by checking their documentation. So here we go, documentation and Node.js over here, the admin SDK. And let's look at the SDK itself. Users module is what we want. Here we go. The get by token. Here we go. Get metadata by token, not user metadata. That's what it's called. Users.get metadata by token, and we're going to pass that DID in. Now we don't have the DID yet, but we can get. Ooh, hold on. I don't have to do this. So what we'll do is this. So we'll just create that Magic, and then below when we get these information, we'll call this. Oops. Just so we always have Magic and we're caching it, so we don't have to recreate it all the time. Magic.users.get metadata by token, and then the DID we don't have, but we have a method inside of Magic. So Magic actually has a, let me just check and see if we have it over here. If it's documented, utils module, yes, wonderful. Parse authorization headers. That way we can just, it's a simple one-liner. Ooh, that's not what I want. A simple one-liner, magic.utils.parse authorization header, and it'll get that DID from us, from the rec.cookies rec.headers.authorization header that we sent in our original request. So if you look over here, here's our handle submit function where we got that DID using Magic's nice one-liner. And then here's our auth request. And our auth request is sending that authorization header with that DID token in it. And in our login page, we're just getting that out. Magic provides us a lovely utility function to get that authorization token out of the header. Perfect, so this is going to give us our user back. Const user equals this. And for now, let's send back the user as a JSON object first. That's what we'll do, just to display it, JSON. And pass in the user. There we go. That try is not in the right place, but that's okay. Ignore the try for now. We'll just assume it works. Here we go. So I'm going to pass in my email. Here it is. Login or sign up. Okay, there we go. So we click login. We got to the dashboard page. And we shouldn't have any cookies set at this point. Let me just, oops, click the wrong button. Cookies, so I didn't set any cookies. Nope, none from me, so that's good. Wonderful, so we're in this boost, we're in this dashboard page, which means we authenticated properly. And that means if we go into our login page where we get that request back, here we go. So it was okay, and we pushed the dashboard route. Let's take a look here at what that object looks like from Magic. So await auth request.json. So we send it back right over here. We send back the user object as JSON. So I'm just going to print it out in the front end so we can take a look. All right, I'm a huge fool. This is async. I forgot to await it. That's it. Couldn't figure out where it was. Forgot to await it. So make sure you await that get metadata by token. Totally makes sense that would be asynchronous. All right, let's run it again and take a look in the console. Here we go. Boop, boom. Okay, now let's look in the console. There we go. So we get this lovely user object. We got the issuer, we got the email and the public address. And if you want to know more about the issuer and the public address, you can go ahead and look at their documentation. They describe a bit more about how these work and what these are used for. Perfect. So instead of saving something in the database, which we would probably take this object and save it in the database, but what we'll do instead is just create a token out of this object, a cookie rather, not a token. Create a token and then save it as a cookie in the browser to persist the authentication state. So let's go ahead and do that. So over here, so yeah, if you want to go check out creating user, we can do this. Otherwise, what we're going to do is we're just going to create a token and then use a cookie to put it in the browser. So let's go over here and we're going to use a library called iron from happy/iron. So let's go ahead and install that. Iron add happy/iron. Boop. Perfect. Okay, and then what we'll do here is we'll create, so with that user, for now we're just going to sign the whole thing. So we'll create some sort of token, and it'll be doing iron.seal is what it's called, and then we pass in the payload, which is just the entire user object. We'll pass in some sort of secret, so I have a environment variable, process env.encryption secret, super secret, pretty much just a jumble of characters. That's okay. And then there's a bit option object, but we're just going to use the iron.default. Defaults. Oh my gosh. Defaults. If I can spell today. There we go. So that'll create a nice token. And we'll use this utility I wrote called set token cookies here to handle setting that cookies. And if you want to look at that method, so here we go. We're just using the response.setHeader function and passing in 2 different cookies. You can see the configuration here. Again, this is all open source. You can take a peek if you'd like. We're taking one, which is going to be a token. It's going to actually set that token. It's going to be HTTP only and secure so that you can't read it with JavaScript. Then we're going to set another token called auth. And this auth token is not HTTP only, so it can be read by JavaScript. And really this is just telling us in the browser that giving us a nice way to say, is the user authenticated before having to check and make some request. That's all that's for. So yeah, we're just going to set those cookies with that token that we've just created here. And we're going to pass that along. We don't need to actually send any more information back because those cookies will be set with those headers. Perfect. Okay. Let's take a look now. Over here, go to login. Boop. And email address, login. There we go. And if we take a look over here in our cookies, you can see that we have that auth token with a value of true, and we have our token, which is set as a promise. Oh no, it's a promise. Darn it! I am just not on ready with the awaits here. There we go. Await that iron seal. That's asynchronous as well to do the encryption. Let's try again. Here we go. Login. There, and let's take a look at the cookies. So we already know that auth should be in here and it should be true. Just that's the case. And we have our token. That's much better. Look at that content. A bunch of gobbledygook in there. Just junk. Perfect. Some sort of nice encrypted token. Wonderful. So that's what we can use to make requests. And for that, we've created this lovely hook called useAuth. A bunch of stuff going on in here, but pretty much it's just making a request to this API user function. And you can check out how this works on the open source library. You can take a look at the code. So it just makes this request to API user. You get the tokens through that, and you can use iron.unseal, pass in that same encryption secret with the token you've gotten from the cookies, and you'll get the user data out of that. So for this tutorial, we're not going to cover that. That's all right. So this is literally integrating Magic, and I'll show you here what the process is if I log in with a different email address here. I think this one here, plus test. Just take a look at that one. So if I log in, and I haven't been logged in before, this is what you get. This comes with Magic. This is it. They have this lovely overlay that says go ahead and check your email because we've sent you an email to log in. So I haven't authenticated yet, all my code's waiting. And I'll go ahead and check my email. Check my inbox. Here we go. Aha! Here it is. So it's confirming it's my test site. I block all images, but this is the image. You can configure this as well a little bit, which looks nice. And I know that they're working on more configurations for what these emails look like. So I can log into Boost. It's going to come over here. I'm logged in. If I head back to that page, this will disappear. And there we are. I'm logged in. Perfect. And the other thing is that, look, over here it says login. And if I click home, it's going to allow me to go home. But really what should happen is, as a logged in user, home should actually be dashboard. And so over here, I'm going to go ahead and create some sort of nice component that's going to make use of that second cookie we have to allow us to, when we go home, redirect us automatically back to the dashboard. Okay, for that, what we're going to do is we are going to create this redirect component. And this redirect component is going to do a little bit of amazing vanilla JavaScript magic. What it's going to do is it's going to inject a script in the head using the next head. That script is going to be rendered before most of the React is and executed. And it's going to check if we have that auth cookie and then redirect us to the appropriate page. So let's go ahead and do that. So we'll have a script tag here. If I can type properly. And we'll have to do this amazing thing, dangerously set inner HTML, because, and let me explain, that if I pass any script in here, if I to do it like this, it's going to get URL encoded, which means that it won't run as proper JavaScript. And so if we want it to run as proper JavaScript, we're going to have to dangerously set it so that it doesn't get modified at all. So our script is going to look something like this. If the document.cookie exists and document.cookie.includes, we have the auth cookie in there, which if we log out will be removed. We don't really care about the value, but we had to give it a value anyway. So auth, and if it exists in there, then we should do something like redirecting. So if document.pathname, location.pathname. So this logic here is just saying, if we are on the exact home route. Let me just fix my quotations here so they're all consistent. If we're on the exact home route, and this is going to allow us to say, I want to visit that marketing page or the landing page, even if I'm logged in, so I can go to like /home. But if I'm not on /home, I want to always go to my home page, which one is do window.location.href, and that's going to be equals to that dashboard page. Now I'm hard coding this one very specifically for the home page. We want to redirect to dashboard if you're logged in, but you can configure this with some props in here. So before we render out this component, let me just comment it out so we can see how it works beforehand. So if I go over here, I go home, it's going to be perfectly fine, but ideally it brings us back to, let me log in, it brings us back to the dashboard page. Log in, there we go, boom, logged in. Now I've already created a bunch of events on this other account, so you can see them here, but good. So if I go home, what I want to do is actually go to the dashboard instead. So let's go over here, not in this page at all, or that one, this one. Let's place this script back in. So this is the home page, the landing page, whatever you want to call it. And way up at the top, we have this redirect, and we want to redirect to dashboard if we have the user. But again, like I was saying before, we didn't configure this to have redirect on user and redirect. We're just going to default it to always redirecting to the dashboard page. So now that we have that, we have a bit of an infinite loop here because the dashboard is actually rendering it myself. So this code I'm trying to modify here is actually the live code you can go and look at. It's a little bit more complicated than I'm trying to make it, now. Like I added these redirect to props and that sort of thing. So if you want to see how it's fully functioning, you can go and look at it. But so I'm just trying to modify, this use case, just make it a bit simpler for this tutorial. Okay, let's refresh here. So dashboard should load fine now. Wonderful. And if we click on Boost, boop, and we come back to the dashboard. So we're not actually going home. So if you look at here, I'll slow it down for you. We can throttle it so you can maybe see. Let's go in our network. And we're going to go to a slow 3G connection. And I will click on the home page. And you should see up here in the navigation bar, oh, it's at the home page. And then it immediately redirects back to the dashboard page before flashing any text, which is exactly what we would like to see. We don't want to see the homepage first, then automatically redirect, but we get to redirect directly back because that script that we made, this one here, runs in the head of the code, so none of the JavaScript gets loaded in even before this runs. Good. Okay, so that's kind of a really quick tutorial on how to add Magic authentication to a Next.js application. You can take a look at the code here, github.com/flockcommunityboost. And it's all open source, similar to the API we use, which is in our community app where the authentication with Magic is. And it's in this pages, API, user, create. And it does that same parse on the authorization headers and getting the user information, the email and the public address from Magic. And what we do here is we insert it into the database and create a new user before we sign that token. So you can take a look at it there. Pretty much adding Magic to your app requires 2 or 3 lines of code. Doing parse authorization headers, adding in getting the data from the link, as well as, and let me go do our code over here into the index page, as well as this function call here to Magic, which is login with Magic link. So those 3 lines, and you have a fully functioning one-click authentication for your Next.js application that works just flawlessly, except for, oh right, I'm throttling the connection, wondering why it's taking so long. Works wonderfully to get data into your application. So go ahead and check out GetBoost, check out Magic, because the documentation is awesome, the integration is quick, and the user experience for doing authentication with just one click is just amazing. And of course, you can go onto Boost, that's not the right Boost link. You can go onto Boost and you can deploy an exact copy of this application on Vercel with one click. Just to play around with it, make some modifications, see how it works, digs in. Feel free to ask any questions. Like and subscribe. Thank you very much.